All right, it's August 21st, 2019. It's a Wednesday. Tonight's the riff off. I'm not going to that. Um, I've had a lot I've wanted to say, and it's funny, every time you click record, it feels like it always goes away. But I guess in short, I feel like I've been way too focused on other people. Um, like, I feel like I go down this rabbit hole where I'll start working on some buddy system shit, and then something will work, and then this momentum will start. Shit. Hold on a second. Okay. That's probably gonna happen a lot tonight. So let me just put this shit on vibrate. Yeah, I I feel like something good will happen with the buddy system, and then I'll be like, oh, okay, well this is growing now. Let me put a bunch of energy into it, and then I forget to put energy into myself, and so I went down that track. I got pretty down, pretty depressed because I wasn't thinking about myself, and then I was like, oh, I guess I got to fix that. So that coupled with other life stuff that's totally purely financial that doesn't really matter for this podcast. That got worked out as well, at least for now. I I hold no expectations for consistency anymore in my life. But at least for now, I'm good. So I'm gonna just save. But that's besides the point of the fucking podcast. I feel like even this podcast, I'm sure if I were to re-listen to the past few episodes, have been far less about comedy and the craft and the art form and myself and how I perceive it, and far more about business and politics and nonsense. I guess not nonsense. It's important, and I do want to document. I do want to document the business side of this as well and the experience there. Yeah, George called it. He described it as a captain's log, and I think I'm going to start, going with that a little more. But anyway, so yeah, I feel like I was focusing on not myself, and I don't think that that's healthy at all. The stuff with muting everyone on Instagram and Facebook and just not seeing anybody in social media has helped a lot. But then it was like all that energy got funneled into the buddy system as a production company, and it just made me think about everybody else and compare myself to everybody else. And one of the things I feel like that does is it feeds your ego, or at least my ego. I don't know about whoever's listening to this, but it's funny. I record this like I'm writing a message in a bottle on an island, on a desert island where I don't think anybody's ever going to find me, and I throw it out there with my fingers crossed that someone's going to listen. And I think at this point, there's some consistent listeners. Whoever the fuck you are, please email. I don't know. I don't ask George the schematics. I don't know if that's the right word. I don't ask George. I'm calling it the schematics now. I don't ask George the schematics. I don't know how many people listen. I want to say at one point he said like 500 people consistently listen to the channel as a whole. I really don't know who the fuck is listening unless you say something to me. So email, ask shit, talk about comedy, whatever. Attack me. I'll be fine. So anyway, focusing on myself. Yeah, I feel like I was that breeds ego because you're comparing yourself to other people, and in doing that, I feel like I was putting people down in my head, and even potentially on the podcast. I don't know. I don't re-listen to this shit, but that's something that I'll ask Jonathan if he wants to. Hold on a second. Okay, call Jonathan. He said it's cool to say what I'm going to say. Jonathan and I are we live on top of each other, which is a whole other podcast I might make tonight where I'm going to bitch. No offense, Jonathan. It has nothing to do with you on a personal level. But Jonathan and I live on top of each other, so we have a tendency to ride the same type of waves. And I think that I don't think that I fucking know it because I just called him to make sure he's okay if I say this. I think he's also feeling the same thing. Like we've both been comparing ourselves to other people. And I think what that does, and he, in reference specifically to something he said on this podcast about Richard Young. I can't remember what it was, and I'm sure I don't think he should take all the blame for it, because I'm sure that I instigated it in some way. I'm sure I did. I haven't re-listened to it, and I don't even know what episode it is, but I'm like, knowing my personality, and as of recent being in this hyper self-focused place, I'm sure I fucking instigated it. So he's not alone in that. And I haven't, speaking of which, I haven't seen Richard in a while. So, hey man, hope you're doing well. And I don't remember what he said or what we said, but we don't dislike you or anything. Hope you're doing well. Anyway, so focusing on other people. Yeah, I feel like when you do that, it makes your ego bigger because you want to, consciously or subconsciously, you want to be better than that other person. Like, you want to be doing better than them. You want to be funnier than them. It becomes really competitive. And it is. Comedy is a competitive thing. But I think the business of comedy is competitive. The buddy system is competitive. But the art form, the thing that I really love and the thing that I have this passion for, and the whole point of this podcast in the first place, I need water. Give me a second. Yeah, comedy. So the business side is, the business side is cutthroat. It's mean. It's fucking vicious. It it feels like you got to be on your toes all the time. It is not a good feeling to be on the production side of comedy in particular, because you're like, when you, on the production side of it, when you book somebody, you're saying to them in a roundabout way, you're saying to them, I think you are funny enough to be on this show for this amount of time, which you're inadvertently saying. And that, when I book somebody, I am saying that. But it's funny because when you don't book somebody, people perceive it, or seem to perceive it, as a slight against them or something. And it's I never, I don't know, I guess I never thought of it that way until recently, when I was just sort of sitting in my head looking from the inside out, and it's interesting. I don't know, what the fuck was I even, god damn it, hold on. So when I went on a long stupid tangent when I just when I went back and listened. Yeah, so the art form. I already talked about the business. We get, yeah, Aaron. Yeah, the business is annoying. You give a shit about people's feelings. Whatever. You're gay. Whatever. Yes, but the art form, I don't think is a competitive art form. I actually think it's a pretty unifying art form. Like, when we all go out there, in these fucking open mics, performing to nobody a lot of the time, there's camaraderie that's found in that. You're all kind of suffering together, and you're all making, the comedy isn't like three Jews walk into a bar anymore. It's your essence, is what Patrice O'Neill said. On this, hold up a second, I got to look this up. Okay, so today or yesterday, I can't remember. It was today. I listened to YouTube. Everybody, if you're a fucking, even if you're not a comic, look this up on YouTube. Patrice O'Neill, hyphen dash. It's the same thing. I think a hyphen and a dash is the same thing. I am comic, and the YouTuber is Alan Palin, ALLENPALIN, and the little video clip thing, when you look at it, it just says in yellow, I am comic, and then you see a bunch of comics' faces. And he talks about the Carlos Mencia, I think is what they say, which feels goofy and fucking silly. But the Carlos Mencia thing with Joe Rogan, he was talking about all of that. And he was talking about how when someone steals your jokes in 1920, it's different. It's like a different feeling to it. But when someone steals your jokes now, it's you that they're stealing. It feels way more personal. And either way, just if you're a comic, fucking for real, listen to it. It's amazing, and I want to watch that documentary. And I feel like I've seen clips from it. But yeah, the artistic pursuit of this, the thing that's supposed to make you happy, not the money part. That's the hard part, is remembering, like, you like doing this. You just love doing this. And when you do that, and when you think about your comedy like that, it makes everything easier. It makes it fun. It makes it a lot more fun. So if I go down a business road with this podcast again, I guess whatever I say needs to be said. I want to document it, make my captain's log to see if my life works out and if this dream comes true, or if I fucking crash and burn. Yeah, if I crash and burn, whoever's listening to this in the future, if you want to be a comic and you're listening to the little journey of it, just listen to all the shit that I'm saying, and then if I crash and burn, do the exact opposite of whatever the fuck I'm saying. And if I do well and if I succeed, just follow whatever the fuck I'm doing. You're getting a roadmap. I want to be Lewis. I want to be the Lewis and Clark of comedy. I want people to I don't know. If I were to plant my flag in this the existence that I had, I want it to be that if you listen to what I said, it would get you closer to succeeding in this, because it doesn't feel like anybody wants to do that. Either way, caught myself. Talk about yourself. Worry about yourself. So, anyway. So yeah, in focusing on myself, it's made me a little happier. It's made me calmer. And it makes comedy palatable. It really isn't. The business side of this shit is not fun at all. But anyway, focusing on the art. So I want to talk about the actual craft of it again. I feel like I kind of strayed off from that a bit. And so I think the next episode, that's what I'm going to do, which I'm probably going to do right now. But I like these short, and I want to make a cliffhanger, but it's like an artificial cliffhanger. It's like when Disney, this is before all the Netflix streaming wars started happening, but it's like when Disney would close the air quotes Disney vault, and it was like, oh, we can't give you Cinderella. Sorry, bro, can't give you Cinderella right now. It's in the vault. The mouse locked that shit up, son. You can't get past it. There's it's like you own the copies of the movie. Just fucking give it to us. But I'm going to pull a Disney. So I'm going to put on lotion. Oh, and P.S. There's something I'm doing right now that I will tell you about, but only in person, because it would be embarrassing and or weird to say it on the podcast. So if you want to know what that is, just email me or just ask me later.